invite links. We are going to have an event with CMU Africa today. And we have here today with us Rosine Kamaharo, Associate Director of Recruitment and Admissions at CMU University. So I would like to give the chance for her to introduce herself more and to give us more insights on what today's event will include. So I give it to you, Rosine.
Thank you, Bemhert. My name is Rosine Kamahoro, and I am the Associate Director of Recruitment and Admissions at Carnegie Mellon University Africa. And the reason for this meeting today is for me to tell you about our programs and interest you into applying, since I am assuming that everyone here has an IT or engineering background, and we have programs that could be of great interest to you. So the way we are going to do this is I am going to start with a presentation, and then I will introduce the guest for today, and then we will be able to have a Q&A session. So please keep your questions for towards that time of the session. And if you have your questions, you can write them in the chat, or you can even unmute yourself, show us a little video, and let us have like a more interactive session. So welcome once again. I'm very happy to be here. I'm going to start the presentation now. All right, so here we go. You can see here, this is what our campus looks like. We are currently located in Kigali in Rwanda. It's southern parts of Africa from you guys, but we are in East Africa like you. So for some of you might not know what CMU stands for, and it stands for Carnegie Mellon University. We are a US university, and our headquarters are in Pittsburgh. And it was founded in 1900 by someone called Andrew Carnegie, and he's known for his motto, which is "My heart is in the work." So at CMU, our heart is in the work as well. And we are currently ranked #1 in computer science, #1 in artificial intelligence, and our College of Engineering is #4. These are worldwide ranks. You can go on the website and check for yourself. So CMU is one of the best engineering schools in the world. So we are ranked #16 in the US and #27 on our world ranking. So as you can see on the flags here, CMU has presence pretty much everywhere. And CMU Africa, the one that we have here, is basically its only presence on the continent. So we are here to serve bright tech enthusiasts from all over the continent, not just from Rwanda. So we started in 2011 when the government of Rwanda signed a partnership with the CMU, and the first class started in 2012, and we have graduated 8 classes since then, and one of our graduates will be here today to tell us more about his experience. So for those of you who are interested in IT and engineering careers, for those of you who are thinking of becoming energy systems engineers, data scientists, software engineers, IT entrepreneurs, cybersecurity engineers, or network engineers, we like to think that Carnegie Mellon can help launch your career and take it to the next level. So the current programs that we have on campus are, we have a Master of Science in Information Technology, MSIT, Master of Science in Electrical and Computer Engineering, MSECE, a Master of Science in Electrical and Computer Engineering Advanced, meaning this is like a slightly extended MSECE program. And then we also have a brand new program that's starting this year called the Master of Science in Engineering Artificial Intelligence. So how do you know which one is for you? So the MSIT program is an interdisciplinary program. It adapts existing tools to solve customer problems. So it's for those of you who want to create solutions for businesses and things like that, to even start your own companies. MSECE is for those who want to design new tools and technologies for the future. So basically MSIT students would use tools developed by the MSECE, so they are more on the hardware side, if I can say. And MSCAI is for those who work with artificial intelligence tools to engineer new solutions. So the main difference between CMU programs and other programs is that our programs are very hands-on. So on average, our MSIT student spends 900 hours interfacing with the industry. So how do they do that? Because they spend, as you can see here, they spend 3 months doing an internship and 1 semester working on a practicum, research, or an entrepreneurship project. And the other programs also spend some time working on those, except that the internship is optional for them. So this allows our students to interact with members of the industry, and they are constantly connected so that once they are ready to join the workforce, they can hit the ground running. So currently, our students, more than 10% are choosing to go into PhDs, and they are admitted into really good programs all over the continent and all over the world, actually. So some are in Asia, some are in Europe, some are in the US. And we also have quite a really good employment rate. 96% of our alumni are employed within 6 months of graduation, and 30% are in management positions. And when we go back to their employers to just check how everything is going, 95% of their employers are satisfied with the skills. And when you look at where our alumni are working, you can see that the majority of them are working in information technology. Mainly that's because our MSIT program is usually the largest, and it was the first that we started. But you can see that we have quite a number in academia, in the public sector, in energy, in health, and cybersecurity, education, telecommunication, many different sectors. And you can see here some of the titles that they occupy. And you can see also here that we have world-class faculty. So this is the almost comprehensive list of our faculty. And also, these are the different areas of expertise. So once you join CMU Africa, you will be able to interact and work and do research with them. So we are the only US university with full staff and faculty on the continent, meaning we are not an online program. Our faculty and staff, me included, are full-time. We are on our campus. We are ready to interact and advise the students whenever they need to. And we have a quite high student faculty ratio. So currently it's a 10-to-1 student faculty ratio, meaning you really have great access to a faculty, and each student is assigned a faculty advisor, and they also provide research opportunities. So what does life as a CMU Africa student look like? Currently, for the class of 2021, so those who recently graduated, they were representing 14 different nationalities, but our incoming class is the most diverse yet. So the class of 2023, who will graduate in 2023, they are from 21 different nationalities, and they are from very diverse backgrounds, both from different countries, gender, nationalities, levels of expertise. Some are young, recent graduates, some are young professionals. We really have a very diverse student body, which is a great opportunity for our students to create networks that will last them a lifetime. And we also provide quite a number of career services for our students to be able to hit the ground running, as I was saying. So we really work hard to make sure that once they graduate, they can easily slide into employment without struggling too much. So we organize career fairs, internship fairs, and we also have great partners with whom we work to create corporate and internship opportunities. So many of our students were able to travel and do internship in many different places. Of course, now with COVID, things are a bit more tricky. But for example, in 2019, we had 8 of our female students do their internship at the World Bank for the Young Women in Technology program in DC. And we also have an industry innovation lab. This is something that we have created for our alumni and students to be able to thrive if they want to create their own businesses. So this is available. This is a sort of incubator that is available for students and alumni who wish to go into entrepreneurship, and we provide certain services that help them launch their businesses. So how do you make your application stand out? You know, I've told you about the programs. You maybe have already identified the program that you're interested in. How do you make your application stand out? So first, I'm going to tell you about our timeline. So our applications will start on October 1st for all programs, and all that is required from you is a CV, transcript, and statement of purpose. And the application deadline, the early admission deadline is December 15th. If you submit your application by this date, we will cover your English and technical test fees, meaning you won't have to pay for anything because we don't even have an application fee at the moment. So we hope that by March, April, we would have made an admission decision and you would know. So that's March, April 2022. And then orientation, which is a month-long program we have to help our students transition to an American education system, because most of them are coming from very different, diverse education systems from their own countries. And then so we have our students spend a whole month interacting and learning and getting up to speed so that they can easily transition into the first semester. So that's what it looks like basically. And one of the most important parts of an application is an effective statement of purpose. So a statement of purpose is an essay where you tell us about yourself, tell us who you are, what you are interested in, why you want to go to graduate school, and why you want to go to CMU in particular, because there are many graduate programs out there. So that's where you tell us about your future goals and how this education that you're planning on getting will impact the rest of your community. So it is very important that you spend some time crafting a really good essay that will be compelling, that people will have fun reading. But most importantly, it has to be authentic, because if we find that you have plagiarized, then you'll be surprised as to the number of applications that we find that have plagiarized. You will not be allowed to apply to CMU Africa ever again, or to CMU in general, actually. You'll be blacklisted, and that's indefinitely. So I wouldn't advise anyone to take that risk. The other part are the competency test, the test that I mentioned earlier. So you only be required to take a Duolingo test, which we pay for if you apply by the early application deadline, and a technical test, which helps us assess your analytical and quantitative skills. On the other hand, many applicants are really interested and they're thinking, okay, I really like this program, but how on earth can I afford it? We have some financial aid options available. So we have a full scholarship, the MasterCard Foundation scholarship, that is available for international students, but we also have some partial scholarships. So the government of Rwanda is only for Rwandan nationals, but we also have the MINDS, which is open for international students, and the IFFF. IFFF is our own CMU funding that we use to help students, and also the CITD. And we also provide opportunities for our students, some of them, to work and make some money on the side. So currently, for the class of 2021, all of our students have some sort of financial aid, because to be able CMU and the government of Rwanda work together to bring the price down for the continent, and otherwise 76% of our students were fully covered. So yes, currently we have graduated 328 master's degrees from 8 classes, as I mentioned earlier, and I hope that some of you or most of you will be part of the next class. So now I am going to stop sharing, and I am going to welcome Andy, who is one of our graduates, and he's going to tell you about his experience being at CMU. Please unmute yourself, and I hope your camera ready.
Yep, camera ready.
Great. How are you?
I'm good, Rosine. How are you?
I'm doing well, so welcome. The floor is yours.
Okay. Hey everyone. I can see that most of you are here. So do you prefer the camera on or off? If
Oh,
I can
please keep your camera on. I put mine off because of the presentation.
Right, okay. So, well, hi. So I am a CMU Africa graduate. Let me start with my name. My name is Ndegana Amara Taya Lamayo. Many people call me Andy, including Rosine. I am a CMU Africa graduate of class 2021, meaning like this year. I graduated in MSIT, Masters in Information Technology. And honestly, CMU has been quite a ride. Well, it's one of the most stressful yet rewarding experiences I've had to go through. I would actually love to hear from you if you guys have a couple of questions so we could make it a bit more interactive rather than, I just like tell you things and yeah. So if you guys could like maybe unmute and you could take turns, ask questions. Any takers?
I'll be watching for you. You can get started. I'll let you know if someone asks a question.
Okay, so let me just go on with what I have to say. And well, right, okay. So I heard about the opportunity from a friend, actually a colleague, who had his friend learn at CMU. And so you might be surprised to know that my background is actually in mechanical engineering. I'm not from IT, but from an IT background. So I graduated my bachelor's in mechanical engineering, yet I fell in love with IT and I wanted to learn my master's in IT. So when I heard of CMU and I went through their course catalog, there was nothing that hindered a mechanical engineering student to apply to an IT master's degree program. So quite literally out of the love of IT, I applied to CMU and they accepted me and it's been quite a ride so far. I've learned a lot. I've learned how to code in master school. So think about that. I learned how to basically run a business. You could also learn that. I learned data science and yeah, I've learned the telecoms and I've learned a lot of things. But apart from the technical side, I think most importantly, you learn about your limits and you learn about how far you can push yourself and what to expect from yourself. And in that, you learn how to manage time, how to think and work critically so that you could sort of identify the path of like least effort anytime you have to do something, and that makes you much more potent as a person and enables you to go through a lot more work much more quickly, and in a good in good quality. So I think with CMU, they intentionally overload you, they intentionally pile a lot of work on you. So you might have a week where usually a week it's like what, if you think about it, you have 10 hours, right? 12 hours, 12 times 5, that's about 60 hours. At CMU, the minimum requirement for a semester is 36 hours per week. And that's if you know the course. However, if you don't know the course, with all the assignments and the course load and everything, that may actually expand to taking up all the 60 hours that you have for the week. And me personally, there have been semesters where I took 60-hour credits. So you can imagine I have no idea about IT, but I'm taking an IT master's course. I would probably have 60 hours in my week where I'm effective, and I'm taking 60-hour courses. So even then, I did manage to survive. And CMU does build you up to that level. It's not that I am special in any way, but that it pushes you, the environment pushes you, and the community pushes you to actually to get that level of work out of you. So I think, yeah, I think for me, CMU has been quite an experience. And like, if you have any other questions, like please do ask. I'm sorry. What pushed you to pursue a master's in the first place? Well, for me, it was trying to build on what I already knew. So with my bachelor's degree, I finished in mechanical and everything, but when I was working, like I used to work as a researcher, and when I was working as a researcher, and even when I was working as a consultant, I saw the fact that me personally, I had a gap in that my colleagues who had done their masters, they were far more critical, and they had far more of a sharper eye when they were evaluating things. And I really couldn't put my finger on what the difference was between me and them. But then the more I looked, the more I talked to them, the more I conversed with them, what I realized was that them going through a master's degree program and them having go through that, like literally going through that fire, helped them see through, like literally cut through the fat and just get to the meat, if you get the expression. Like, you know, like there's always a lot of noise in any project and anything that you do, and cutting through that noise and getting to the signal, that's the main point. That's the main differentiator between a good worker and a great worker. And I figured, okay, if I get to my master's, maybe I could develop that skill. And I think with CMU, I did get to develop that skill, apart from all the technical things and all the courses and everything. Can you tell me your experience with your advisor? Sure. So the question is, can you tell me your experience with your advisor? So for me, I had the privilege of having two different advisors. One was Professor David Ross. He was actually pretty well versed in the world of business, and to the point where he had managed a venture capital fund of, I believe, up to $60 million. And he was really good in refining ideas and like helping you develop your ideas to the point where they can actually become a viable business. My second advisor was Professor David Vernon. He was also quite versed in the academic path. He's really good with computer vision and robotics and even cognition. I don't know if some of you know about cognition, but it's basically like cutting edge AI. And like I said, apart from like the technical things, like the advisors really help you refine your choices at CMU. So you can take any course that you want. However, it doesn't mean that the course is meant for you. So at a certain point, you find yourself being like a kid at a candy store. But the advisors help you select the courses that really do build you up. Because when you talk to your advisors, you talk to them about what you want to do, you talk to them about what your career path would probably look like, and you have that understanding with them. And through that understanding, they can then say, okay, this set of courses does look good for you and these ones don't. But apart from that, I think the best thing your advisors can do is support you when you're feeling down, and trust me, you will feel down. But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I think it's up to you on how close you want to be with your advisors, because their doors are always open. They're very helpful people, and if you are not going to take that opportunity to engage with them, then I guess that's your loss. Okay, so the next question is, what kind of opportunities did you have during your stay there, like jobs or internships? Great question. So for me, I was actually there on a partial scholarship. I didn't get a full scholarship. So with a partial scholarship, I needed to fund the rest of my tuition, which is quite a significant amount. However, with CMU, they do offer on-campus jobs, and those jobs do help cover. So long as your spending is quite reasonable, then those jobs do help cover your tuition fees. So those jobs would include something like being IT support. If it is on campus, it could even be something like being a front desk manager, which is essentially being a receptionist for the school. You also can help out being like a personal assistant to the staff and faculty. There are also jobs, if you're really good in a course, the professor will then ask you to become their teaching assistant, their TA. So what you basically do is you help students that are taking the course just with their assignments. You help them with their assignments. You help the professor with grading and such and such. And those jobs usually don't take up a lot of time, and they're actually for the benefit of the students to help cover the tuition and gain experience. So they're really not that strenuous. So for instance, if you're, say, IT support, that job usually doesn't take up a lot of time. So you, even on the job, even while you are working on the job, you have the time to do your assignments, and you're basically getting paid to basically be on standby. But like, you get to do your job, your assignments, you end up getting paid, and you cover your tuition. And like I said, if your spending isn't too extravagant, you could actually come out of the school with a bit of cash saved up. So it all depends on the lifestyle you want to choose. Regarding internships, a lot of good companies do come to CMU, for instance, and they do come from all over the world. Like Rosine said, I think there are opportunities specifically for women, and I think now also for men, to head over to Washington to work in the World Bank. There's been opportunities from companies like Hitachi from Japan. I think there have been opportunities from companies like IBM in Kenya. yeah, a lot of companies come from all over, even across Africa, to give opportunities to Carnegie Mellon students for 3-month internships, and those internships actually do pay really good money. So, and they do lead to job opportunities afterwards as well. There have been a number of my colleagues that actually do end up working for the companies that they interned in. Next, the question is, should we need to know advisors' research before applying? I think yes and no. I think yes, you need to know the research if you plan on working, if you plan on continuing your PhD and you plan on doing your research with that particular professor as your advisor, then you may need to know about their research. However, I don't think that is the path that many people take, because usually there are 3 paths students take. You could either continue your PhD, or you can go into the workforce and get a job, or third, you could actually start your own company. And CMU does have its own lab incubation where they do help bring up your company. So unless you are heading to that academic path where you want to do your PhD, or even if you want to do your research, unless you're thinking of that, then I don't think that's necessary. Oh, and I don't think Rosine has said this, but it's actually something significant. You don't need to do your research in order to graduate at CMU. Like, as in, you don't need to do a research project. Let me be specific. You do not need to submit a research project or a thesis paper in order to graduate from CMU, right? So it's not like a master's program in Ethiopia. It's not. You finish your courses. There are mandatory things that you got to do, and a thesis is an optional one. If you don't want to do a thesis, you could actually do a practicum project with a company for 4 months, which is basically like a real world project, and you can graduate off of that. Alternatively, you could also work on an entrepreneurial project where you say, okay, I have a business idea and that's what I want to work on. And you can graduate based off of that idea. And if the idea is good enough, you can then take that idea, put it into the incubation lab that CMU has, and then they will fund you, and like you can build your company from there as well. So
yeah, thank you for that clarification. So yes, it's correct. You can choose to either do some research, and that's mostly for people who want to do PhDs, or do an entrepreneurial project, and some of those people end up in the IIL. Or you can do a practicum, which is, I think, the most common, where they get 3 or 4 students to work with a company on a solution that is free for the company, which is, you know, win-win for both the student and the company, because for that practicum to be approved and they work on it with faculty, the company has to approve the solution. So those students have to work really hard to make sure that they deliver something that the company will find valuable. And that's part of how they get professional experience as well.
And I think also for the practicum project, anything that you create for the company, since you're working for them for free, you co-own. So basically, if a company comes and says, I don't know, build this great app that is going to be viral or whatever, then if they want to make it exclusive, they probably would have to pay you for the entire license. Or you could actually then take that app and then run with it on your own. I'm just saying, just because it's free doesn't mean you don't have anything to benefit from, apart from learning, that is.
Yeah. And the other thing that maybe I need to clarify is that MSIT and MSCC students also have access to concentrations. So these are sort of specialties that you can choose. You can choose cybersecurity and entrepreneurship or software engineering, or we have 6 different concentrations, and I'm going to paste them here. And maybe Andy can tell us about which one he chose. And someone is asking me privately, does CMU offer straight PhDs? No, we don't have a path where you go from CMU to a PhD. But as you saw, we have a bit more than 10% of our graduates who choose to go into PhDs, and we're very proud of them and we support them because we want more research to come from Africans and to Africa, so when we have someone coming from CMU and go to Cambridge or to some university in Japan, they are taking some of CMU Africa to Japan and to the UK, and they are contributing to the research that is coming from Africa and from Africans. So we really support you and give you access to faculty that can offer support. If they don't have the area of expertise that you want, we can connect you to other faculty in the other CMU campuses. We have campuses in Pittsburgh, in Silicon Valley, in Qatar. So we have quite a wide network that you can benefit from. That was Amanda. Do we have anyone who's brave enough to ask a question live? Who's brave enough to unmute themselves and ask a question? We would like for this to be an interactive session. No?
Because right now it's like looking into a blank screen.
I know.
It's like, Like, sorry if I'm badgering anyone.
Okay, I'm not seeing anyone. Bemhet, did you say something?
Yeah, I was just trying to clarify for everyone. Like, feel free to ask anything that you have on your mind. Yeah. Like, it's a free platform, so just feel free. I think I see a question from Lena. Yeah, it would be great if you could unmute yourself and
yes, you can raise your hand and we'll call your name. I see Mesfin and Jonas have oh, Helena, please unmute yourself.
Oh, hello. So
Hi.
what I wanted to ask was, he mentioned a heavy workload. So I wanted to ask how he managed his time and also the stress that comes from the workload. Thank you.
Oh, and I wanted to add on to that question because Andy actually graduated early and there are not many who do that. So tell us how you did it.
Okay, so when you join CMU, you're actually told ahead of time, like, tell your friends, tell your families, tell your loved ones. Rosine's laughing because she's heard of this. Tell your friends, tell your families, tell your loved ones that you're attending CMU and that you might actually be gone for a while. But that's actually not necessarily the case because so let me give you two stark differences, right? At CMU, we used to have a bus that leaves at 3 a.m. So the 3 a.m. bus, it means in Ethiopia, that's like Zatain Saat Lalit, like 9 in the evening for us. So the 3 a.m. bus, you would work your assignments and everything, leave at 3 a.m. And then in the morning at 6, like 12 local, actually at 2 local, you probably would have a class. So you need to sleep for like 4 hours or something and then get up, dress up, and come back to class. There are students who do that literally throughout the entire 2 years. And then there are those which learn to manage their time, like actually invest their time to learn how to use their time. I don't know if I'm making sense, but like they actually take time off from just doing their studies to learn how to better manage their time and get better at managing their time so that they actually leave the school every day by 12 local. That would be 6 p.m. So it actually does depend. It depends on how you manage your time. One, two, it really does depend on the courses you take. There are some, like, regardless of how hard you manage your time, you just cannot escape them. But I think it's a skill that you develop over time. There's a professor that we knew that took us through orientation, and he always used to say, like, I can't do your push-ups for you. And basically what he's trying to say is you know, when you get to do your own push-ups, you get to be better and you develop those muscles. And I think with time management is that at first it's overwhelming. It really is, but in time you just keep on at it. You become good and you're able to adopt. For me personally, I think the first semester was utterly brutal because I did not know how to code. I needed to learn how to code. I was taking data science courses, and those were like, you needed to know how to code well in order to take those. So I needed to learn how to code. At the same time, I was learning data science. And like, let alone me, even for those that had computer science backgrounds, it was still stressful. So the first semester was utterly brutal, but I think by the time I got to the second semester, I learned some techniques. For instance, I learned how to use the Pomodoro, where it's basically like you take 20 minutes focused work, and then you take like 5 minutes break, 20 minutes work, 5 minutes break, and then every 2 hours you take like a 30-minute break. Apart from that, I learned how to prioritize my tasks. So every day I would try to identify maximum three major things I would like to accomplish that day. And apart from that, I would just list down all the small things that, you know, it would be great if I get to them, but I know that I probably will not. So that does help relieve some of the stress. And lastly, every professor tells you this at CMU, not many students do it. Start today. Like, if you get an assignment, you start today. It doesn't matter if you know about it, doesn't matter if you studied it, it doesn't matter if it is like alien gibberish to you. You start today. And the way you start today could be like, you just create a file. It could be like it could even be you just create a file with like the title and your name, and that's it. You just start today. And yeah, I mean, in time, you sort of get through it.
And those skills, as someone who works, are extremely important, because that's how you meet your targets at work as well. You know, that's how you meet your targets and exceed them, and you get promoted. You know, so if you're able to get those at graduate school and transfer them into at the workplace, then you rise really quickly. So I'm glad you were able to get that from your intensive classes. So I see that we're getting close to the end of the hour. Do we have any last few questions? Oh, and Andy, you did not tell us what you're doing now. What are you working on now?
Great. So currently I'm working for a local startup called Room Roaming. I am the business development manager there. So for me, like, I love IT, and I love to develop products for IT companies and, you know, IT-based products. So room roaming was a perfect fit. We work in the hospitality industry. We try to develop IT products for that. And as a business developer, I basically try to build room roaming from a startup to a sustainable company. So yeah.
Okay, great. Thanks for sharing.
Hello there.
Oh, hi, Elon.
Yes, lights went off, and that's why I turned off my video. Sorry for that.
Sure,
No worries.
that's okay.
Okay, thank you, all of you. It was a nice presentation, Rosina. And Dee, I have a question for you. First is Helena earlier asked it. Do you really recommend for someone to go to graduate school before not going to the industry, before not going to the workforce? Do you really recommend that? And the second is, how was your stay at CMU, and what did you do to impress the admission office? How was your GPA? How did you manage to impress the admission committee and get offer at CMU? Thank you so much.
Okay, so I think that's 3 questions, right? Like, do you recommend someone applying to getting into a master's right after a bachelor's? 1. And 2 was, do you, how did you manage to get into CMU? Like, what was your GPA and all, right? And then the third was, would you mind repeating the third? Elon.
Not this, like those 2 questions you mentioned it.
Okay. So, let me say this expression. Rosina, it's in Amharic, I'm sorry. I'll translate. ብሬቅ ቀመሰ ትምህርት ለመመለስ ይከብደዋል ይባላል አይደል? Like basically, like those who get used to money have difficulty getting back to academia. So like I think for me, I worked 3 years before I got into CMU. And honestly speaking, getting back into school was really hard because you get used to working and you get used to getting a job. And then pausing all that for school, it's really difficult. But it is rewarding. I have seen that. One thing I would say is right after bachelor's, it may be good to get into a master's degree program. But at the same time, it may also be good to have experience in industry. Because it does help refine, what you want to do in life, what path you want to take. Is this actually the thing that you want to continue in? You need to ask yourself that question. Do I really want to continue in the path that I started? Because for me, I started as a mechanical engineer. I do love mechanical engineering. I don't get me wrong. But when I was working as a mechanical engineer, I found my passion in IT, and I saw that this might be actually something that I do want to pursue. And hence I went into CMU for particularly that reason. Regarding the application, if you're curious about my GPA, like I got, I think, like a 3.1, which isn't that impressive. Because I know some of you here that have like a 3.7 and a 3.8 and something like that. But think about it, like I graduated in mechanical engineering. Like what business do I have taking a master's in IT, right? So one thing you really should need to know is that CMU has a holistic approach when they assess your application. And by holistic, I mean that they look at your GPA, true. They look at your experiences, at what you've done, at your application letters. They look at your GRE scores. They look at your IELTS or what was it? Rosine, what was the other alternative? IELTS or your English
TOEFL.
scores, the TOEFL, yeah. So it's a holistic assessment of you as a person, because you know that one number that you got from your bachelor's really doesn't define you. However, what does define you is what you do, what you did with your opportunities. And yeah, like based off of that, they will then engage, okay, this person is a good fit at CMU. And surprisingly enough, one thing that I did find is that even though, so my batch, we were from, I believe, 14 or 12 countries all over Africa. We spoke different languages, had different cultures, had different upbringings, but we were instant friends. And we were instant friends because the recruitment was that good, to the point where it was meeting people like you from different countries. And right now, I am honestly proud to say that I have friends all over Africa. And you could have that too. And good friends, actually. So, yeah.
We have another question from Ellen. Oh, was
No.
it from the okay.
Oh, thank you.
All right, thank you. Thank you for your question. Do we have any other question? No. Okay. So I think we are going to close the event, and thank you so much, Andy, for your contributions. You led the session for me, basically. And the last point that you mentioned about having friends from all over the continent, that's really our motto. That's what we are trying to achieve. We're really trying to create a network of tech giants all over the continent, because we believe that if we want innovation to come from Africa, then people have to be given the opportunities to and given the tools to do so. And for me, that's really one of our assets. It's not the faculty, it's not the building, it's the fact that we bring people. And then this new class will have 21 different countries, and that for me is wealth. That if you are able to tap into it and create networks, so that when you go to Ghana, you know who to talk to. If your boss wants to venture into Kenya, you have a contact. If you want to start your business and expand it, you know who to talk to. That's something you can't buy anywhere. So it's also important, if you are considering joining CMU, that you also take the time to know the people that you're going to class with, you know? You can be buried in your books and get straight A's, but if you don't make any friends, then you are not going out of CMU being a wealthier person in terms of connections, you know, and how they say that your network is your net worth. Really, that's something that's extremely important. And I also hope that once our alumni go out there, they keep cultivating those relationships, so that 10 years down the line, you are still talking to those people, that when you go to their city, you take some time and have lunch with them. You know, it's extremely important. So if you have any other questions, I will get your contacts from Bemhert, and I will send you more information. And I also would like to thank you, Bemhard, for being the coordinator, and for Andy to introduce us. We get quite a number of applications from Ethiopia, but I feel like we are not reaching out to the community as much as we should. So this is part of the effort that we are doing to extend our community outreach to students in Ethiopia. So if you have any questions, please feel free to email me. I'm going to add the recruitment email here, and you can send me an email, but I'm also going to get your contact and also send you more information. So I thank you all for being here. I thank you for taking the time to listen to the content that we had prepared for you. And as I said previously, if you have any questions, don't hesitate. And remember that applications will start on October 1st. Please follow us on social media so that you become aware of more of the events that we are hosting and get to meet members of our community. And I wish you all a good evening.
Before you close, so the early application process, I think, is when is it, Rosie?
So applications start on October 1st and the early admission deadline is December 15th.
Yeah, so
if you want for us to cover your test fees.
Yeah, so for me, like, just to give you a brief story, like for me, I did not have the money to pay for IELTS and GRE, and I applied before December 15th. I actually applied, I think, on the deadline because I was running around doing something else. But then CMU first goes through your application process and then asks you to go through the technical test. So the first phase is the application. If you pass that, they ask you to go through the technical test and the Duolingo test, English test. If you score well on that, they then fund you for your IELTS and GRE. And someone asked me personally for how I was able to get a GRE. I think GRE guys, like, you can download a GRE, I think a Magoosh app for the words. For me, I just drilled on the words. Like, I had 2 hours going to work and back every day. So 2 to 3 hours. So every day I would just drill through the words. And by the time the GRE came, I mean, the logic is just logic. You could easily understand the text, but it's the words that trip you up. And if you know the words, then you can really do well on the GRE. So CMU funds you on your GRE, plus gives you material like the books to study for it. Do take time to study for it, because it is quite a good opportunity to have a college that actually funds for your tests for their own application process. So I think that's a big chance.
So for this current application and the last one, actually, we have removed GRE and IELTS initially due to COVID issues because people are having issues traveling, getting to the GRE and IELTS centers. So now all you have to do is the technical test and the Duolingo test, and we still cover for those two. And I don't think we're going to change even though COVID restrictions are easing up, but so currently the application process is even shorter than the one that you had to go through. So there's no reason for anyone not to apply. You should for the MSCAI, which is also was not available when you graduated. So it's a new program. Yeah, okay, so thanks for the clarification once again. Do you have any closing remarks, Bemhert?
Okay, thank you, Rosine and Dagana. Thank you very much. I hope the information was helpful for everyone. So, like, as I think you can find her email address on the chat box. She already posted it there, so you can reach her there. And also, if you are interested, you can give me your contacts, and I can link you to her, or I can send it to her, so that she can contact you. And I just want to say thank you very much for Resign and for Ndagana for being here and giving us this insight. So yeah, and thank you everyone for being here with us and for attending this event. Yeah, okay, and there is a form she has sent it in the chat box.
So for those who want to receive more information. But I will find your information and send you an email with all of this. Thank you guys and enjoy your evening. I don't want to take you more of your Saturday evening. Bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.